I'm so sorry, people online. We've just gone. We're back. Right.
And I think he's sent me a text saying, he sent you all a text. Saying, just a quick stop, go for a drink.
Who is that? Oh,
Right.
So,
Okay. Oh, yeah. Jenna said. I declare the meeting back. Resume the meeting back at 1:51. Thank you. At 1:51, and the item on the agenda is the minutes of the previous two meetings. That the Thames Community Board confirms the 5th of February 2025 minutes as true and a correct record, and we might as well take the other one as well. And that confirms the 3rd of March 2025 minutes as true and correct record of proceedings. Do we have a mover? Moved by Councillor Sinclair. Do we have a seconder? Moved by Deputy Chair. And the only discussion you can have is if there's something in there that's not. No. Only discussion as if there's something, a spelling mistake or something wrong and not correct in terms of what we said. So I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. That's the minutes of that meeting. We now move to local waters done well verbal debate. Verbal debate? Well, a verbal update. So welcome. So because my eyesight's not that great, it might pay if you introduce yourself, please, Ian.
Kia ora, everyone. My name's Ian Morton. I'm the project manager supporting local water done well with Thames Coromandel District Council. I'm also supporting lots of other councils across New Zealand with local water done well. And myself, along with some other consultants, Martin Jenkins, they're also supporting 12 other councils across New Zealand are involved to support Thames Coromandel. We do have a brief presentation. I understand we've got 30 minutes. We'll try and keep the presentation down to 15 minutes. And just if we can have maybe 10 minutes at the end, just to try and seek some feedback and questions, that'd be great.
Thank you. We appreciate that. We're just really running behind time today, and we had a very busy morning. So it's up on the screen. Who else do you have with you, Mr. Morton, please?
So it's just myself. We've also got Councillor Grant. So we have a working group for local water done well within Thames Coromandel. So that's Mayor, Councillor Grant and Councillor Terry Walker, as well as the CEO, myself and the Martin Jenkins team, plus Mohammed Imtaz, the GM for infrastructure. So we've got John Grant online as well, and we've also got Brett Houston on the line as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
If we can go to the next slide, please. So look, we'll just recap on local water done well. We'll also just cover off the work that we've done to date. We'll just talk about the potential options for consultation. So really the next step in this is we'll get some feedback from yourself on the potential options for future water service delivery. The plan is to go out to public consultation mid-April for 1 month, seek some feedback. So really, today is all about just getting some feedback from you on those potential options. Next slide. I won't dwell on this, but obviously you can see within the Thames area, there's wastewater, water and stormwater assets across the Thames area. But just to highlight, just at the top, the asset value across the assets for Three Waters, it's 890 million for Thames Coromandel. So it's quite a significant asset base that we'll be talking about today. Next slide. So look, we just wanted to reiterate the legislative timeframe that's happened. So in February 2024, the new coalition government repealed the previous Three Waters Reform Initiative. In mid 2024, an act came out which basically said that each council has to decide on how they will deliver Three Waters in the future. There's key requirements as part of that around preparing a water service delivery plan, but also the government's been clear that each council has to meet some certain levels requirements as part of that water service delivery plan, and I'll cover that off within the next slide. In December, detailed legislation came out that was around 305 pages long, so very detailed around the long-term requirements for local water done well, including accountability, economic regulation, and again, I'll talk about that a little bit more. The aim for us is to complete by September the 3rd, 2025, a water service delivery plan and submit that to central government. And again, this is where we want to try and seek some feedback from you today. Next slide. So there's key aspects to local water done well. So the first one is, as I mentioned, we've got to prepare a water service delivery plan and submit that to the Minister by the 3rd of September. That's got to show how councils will meet the legislation going forward, how we'll be financially sustainable, what assets we will look to invest in, and how we plan to deliver the services going forward. So that's the kind of main focus for us between now and September. As part of local water done well, they did bring out some new structural and financing tools. So currently councils can borrow between 175 and 300% against revenue. These new structural tools allow councils to set up CCOs, or council controlled organisations. They would need to be managed by a professional board separate from council. But as part of that, they could borrow up to 500%. Now, that's important because what that enables councils to do is invest earlier, but also spread the costs over a much longer time period. From a financial sustainability, the government's been clear that any water revenue has to be ring-fenced and support entirely the costs for Three Waters activities. So whatever costs we have for delivering Three Waters activities, whether it's operational expenses, so labour and people, whether it's capital expenses, i.e. investment in plant, whether it's debt financing, all of that has to be covered and ring-fenced and supported by the revenue that we get in the door. In addition, there's some new regulation that's come out. So the Commerce Commission's been put in as an economic regulator. So they will report across New Zealand on how this is being, the water services are being delivered. Taumata Arawai are the Water Service Authority. So they're bringing out some new wastewater standards, and they will be taking the water service regulator, so from an environmental perspective. And in addition, we've still got the regulation through regional councils as well. So there's new regulations that's come out as part of that as well. Next slide. So we've done quite a lot of work to date. Since that legislation came out in September, we've been assessing what the current state is for Thames Coromandel. A lot of that work was completed between September and December of last year. And look, the result of that analysis that was completed by Martin Jenkins independently highlighted that Thames Coromandel are in a great financial position. You've got access to a lot of debt at the moment. Your assets are in pretty good condition. And also you have a really robust 2024 to 34 long-term plan to meet all the future requirements. So look, I do this work for multiple different councils. By far, Thames Coromandel is in the best position I've seen. And look, as a result of that, lots of people want to partner with Thames Coromandel, and I'll go on to that a little bit more. In December, we tabled that analysis with council, and we also had a look at a multitude of options that could be considered by council for future water service delivery. Some of those options were discounted in December, and two of those options are associated with the community trust. One option is associated with Thames Coromandel setting up their own CCO themselves. So they were discounted in December, basically because they didn't add any value to Thames Coromandel. There'd be very little benefit in proceeding with those options. Over the last 3 months, between December and March, we've been doing detailed analysis on two options. One, an internal business unit within Thames Coromandel, and secondly, a multi-council CCO. And again, I'll talk about that a little bit more. The intent is that we'll get some feedback from today, that will feed into some decision making for council on the 8th of April, and then we'll go to public consultation on the 15th of April to the 15th of May. We'll then consider the feedback late May, and then council will decide and submit a water service delivery plan, ideally by the 5th of August. Next slide. So this just gives some clarity around the areas that were discounted. So internal business unit, obviously we're proceeding with detailed analysis around that. And as I mentioned, Thames Coromandel are in a very good position. So that's a really strong option for Thames Coromandel. We discounted the single council CCO because it doesn't really add any value. You don't need access to any more debt. The multi-council CCO is the other one that we have been investigating. And then the two associated with consumer trust organisations have been discounted. And again, because the trusts aren't really there to deliver against, but also they don't have access to local government finance authorities, so they can't borrow at the same rate, so therefore don't add any value. Next slide. So yeah, so as mentioned in December, we focused in on two options: an enhanced standalone internal business unit and a regional sub-regional asset owning water organisation. If we jump to the next slide. So just as part of the multi-council water organisation, we have been working with 3 individual groups. As mentioned, you're seen as a very good partner. So everyone really wants to talk to TCDC and have you within their camp. So the first one was a discussion with the Bay of Plenty councils, and that's Taronga City Council, Western Bay of Plenty District Council. We also had Whakatane District Council included within those discussions, and we've done detailed modelling around a CCO and what that would look like for that option. The second option we've been investigating more fully is Waikato Water Dunwell. So that's a grouping of 7 councils across the Waikato. So it excludes Hamilton, Waikato District Council, and also Thames Coromandel. So they're proceeding again. They don't have any metros involved in that group, so it's a smaller scale size, but obviously includes those 7 councils. And then the last one we've been looking at as part of that sub-regional approach is along with Hamilton City Council and Waikato District Council, who are setting up a CCO. So we've worked with each of those 3 groups, and the whole purpose of that is to understand in detail what that would mean for TCDC going forward. If we jump to the next slide. So in order to carry out an assessment to see what is the best option for Thames Coromandel, we've come up with some strategic objectives. So the first one is just that that this is efficient and financially sustainable. The second one is that it promotes and protects public health and the environment. The third area we've looked at is natural hazards and climate change. The fourth area isn't required as part of the legislation, but it's important for council to understand around how integrated water services and integrated planning will be carried out. The fifth area is just affordability for consumers and the communities. The next area is just looking at how responsibilities to iwi and hapu will be met with each of the options. And the last area that we assessed against was looking at what does it mean for the rest of council, and is the rest of council viable based on the option that's decided against. So that's the key strategic objectives that we looked at. Next slide. So against each one, we've got commentary in there around this. I will say for both of these options, an internal business unit or a multi-council CCO, both of these are really strong, viable options for Thames Coromandel. There's some differences. So just as far as efficient and financial deliverability of water services, So TCDC definitely can deliver against that. However, you don't get the scale and efficiencies that you would get from a multi-council CCO. So just to give you a comparison, so currently water rates for TCDC for water services is around $2,000 per annum. That's what you're paying now. If we were to go for an internal business unit, by 2034, that would be around $2,500 per annum. If we look at a multi-council CCO, that would be around $1,950 per annum. So there is efficiency savings that can be achieved by looking at the larger council. A larger grouping of entities as part of a CCO. In addition, just as far as protect and promote public health, yep, absolutely, council can deliver against that. But if you've got access to a larger balance sheet, you could probably bring forward some investment. You also have more debt capacity as well, so you'd be able to invest more, and you could potentially invest more sooner as well. As far as integration, it's a much easier proposition within council. So there's a stronger preference, if we look at that as a measure to keep within council, because obviously there's already existing processes in place. Whereas obviously looking at a multi-council CCO, that will be a little bit trickier. Not saying it can't be done, but it will just cause some challenges on how that integration will work. Next slide. So again, affordability, I mentioned that just as far as the pricing in relation to rates. And I think, look, affordability in the short term is not an issue, and even in the medium term for TCDC, but in those longer term areas, that's when affordability becomes a little bit more challenging. As far as resilience to natural hazards, again, greater investment can be done by a multi-council CCO. Responsibilities to iwi and hapu, so again, using your existing relationships, that's a stronger proposition staying as an internal business unit. Obviously, it can still be delivered by a multi-council CCO, but obviously those new mechanisms would need to be worked out. And as far as council operations remain viable, the internal business unit would be the least impact to council. However, a multi-council would still be viable even if you went for a multi-council CCO. And in fact, actually, you could transfer quite a lot of Three Waters debt out to that CCO as well, which would free up some debt capacity for you to spend money in other areas within council. Next slide. So this is just a snapshot of assessment. So again, the light green is kind of moderate alignment to the objective. The dark green is just a stronger. So you can see very clearly both. You've got two very strong options here. I think if you think about the internal business unit, that gives you more control and better integration with your council and communities. If you think in the longer term, the multi-council CCO gives you an affordability benefit, but also it's got that benefit where you can increase investment and pull forward some funding as well. I'll maybe just stop there and just ask Councillor Grant if he would like to just add some comments around this as well.
Thanks, Ian. Look, the only thing that I would say is the role of the community boards is really important in this, and that's the message that I wanted to really get across today, that there will be an extensive campaign that will go out for participation by people in the decision that needs to be taken in regard to the best of the options, and that will mean people will be engaging with you as community board members, and it's really important that you understand the options or how we've reached the options and the pros and cons. So please read it really carefully. Ask any questions. If you go away from the meeting today and still have questions, then come through with the questions. Because it's absolutely critical that we put you in the best possible position that we can to be able to understand and answer anything that people raise with you.
Thanks, John. Jenna, can we just jump on to the next slide, and then we'll just pause there and just ask for questions. That says use of 20 minutes up. So if we could maybe just pause there jump on to the next slide and we'll just take some questions and hopefully be able to answer some of them. What we will do, just for information, we'll take any questions raised and we'll capture that within the 8th of April council report for councillors to consider. So yeah, really keen to hear any preferred options, any feedback, any concerns, so that we can consider that for council.
Thank you, Ian. You, councillor, heard this before, haven't you? Right. So, community board people, have you got any questions of Mr. Morton? Okay. So, what you presented to us is an option of a standalone, as I understand it. Thames Coromandel District Council either standalone or forms a council-controlled organisation. Surely, there must be some concern about a council-controlled organisation in view of what has happened in Wellington recently, where, as we understand it from the press, that the contractors are able to rule the system. So what controls would you envisage being in place if we went in a council-controlled organisation?
Absolutely. So I'll just be super clear. So the Wellington Water is not an independent CCO of council, so it doesn't have a separate, so there's separate professional board. It doesn't operate exactly the same as what the legislation requires here, where clear statements of expectations have to be set from each council. So as part of this legislation, I think Watercare is the only example within New Zealand where you've got that kind of, I'll say, professional setup in place. I think you're right, the concerns raised with Wellington, much tighter controls would need to be put in place, and that would be driven by a professional board that is required as part of this legislation. There's also really clear checks and balances about the types of reporting and the level of reporting that those boards would need to provide back to the shareholders, which would be you as council as well.
Okay, thank you for that. The other thing is, if we were in a council-controlled organisation, you gave us some various options there. I presume there's no physical connection because you spoke of Hamilton City Council, Waikato District Council, I presume it was, or Waipa District Council, and HCC, Hauraki, HDC, Hauraki. So it's the buying power, is it, or the ability to be able to use contractors across a wider range and employ staff into council type situation? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, so look, there've been multiple benefits. So there's lots of international examples as part of this, both through Australia's got some really good examples with Victoria Water, Tasmania Water. There's obviously other examples internationally as well, but they get quite a lot of savings from, I'll say, pulling together the staff resources and driving efficiencies with staff. They also get quite significant efficiencies through their procurement and their purchasing power. So rather than doing individual, contracts for each individual project with each individual design consultancy agency, they pull them all together. So you can run them as a portfolio of work through that. Certainly in Scottish Water, they were able to achieve 40% savings in that area through advanced procurement techniques. But also you can bring forward the likes of so if you've got investment that you just can't afford just now as part of council, but you potentially want to bring that forward in the future, with a larger CCO, you could spend that money now. And what that would mean is it would be a much better quality and you wouldn't have as many breakdowns over the next 5 years. So you can save money using spend to save approaches as well.
Thank you. Councillor Revel?
Yeah, thanks. So just along the lines of Adrian's question, Ian, this is not, it would be unlikely that it's suggesting that we'd be piping water from the Waikato River into Thames. Is that right? It's more.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very much the assets themselves wouldn't change. So your assets would still remain where those assets currently are. You would just have a different delivery organised group who would deliver against those services.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, and you mentioned, and I really missed it, something about $1,950 saving. Is that per ratepayer or
So
what was
just
that? Was it 1950?
Yeah, so currently ratepayers pay $2,000 per annum for your 3 waters rates as part of your current rate bill. So if we step forward 10 years' time to 2034, we've modelled through the financial kind of tool that we've used, and that's been independently verified, that if you went alone, so i.e. TCDC is an internal standalone business unit, it would be around $2,500. However, if you went with a CCO, especially a CCO with those larger scale groupings, it would be $1,950. So there'd be $550 saving for each ratepayer if that was to be the preferred option.
That's a reasonable saving. Holly? No. Okay, so I'll continue on because I'm not going to waste this opportunity. With regards to, and this is a left field question, right? When we talk about water on the Coromandel Peninsula, I think we've got something like 11 water treatment plants, I think. Has any consideration been given to, and this probably doesn't fit into your brief, but has any consideration been given to the Mercury Bay, Pawanui and Whangamata water plants where the water is potable water treated waters come from those plants is potable? Has any consideration been given to that to ensure that that water is returned back into the system? And as a supplementary to that, have you had a discussion with iwi, and would you form a CCO with iwi? Because my understanding of the water is quite close to their heart at the moment on the Coromandel Peninsula. So 2 questions there. One, which affects iwi, is would you use the potable water from the wastewater treatment plants on the eastern seaboard? And would you form a CCO with iwi on the peninsula?
So I'll maybe answer the second question first. So just as far as iwi engagement, so as part of this process, yeah, we will be engaging with iwi. As far as the legislation is concerned, there is no requirement as part of the CCO to have iwi on the board. So in the previous reform, that was part of the requirements. That's the legislation that got repealed. So there's no requirement to have iwi at the table. So that was part of the previous legislation. As far as the potable water, sorry, can I just clarify the question? Is the question there's some private water supplies out there and they supply water themselves, not through council, or is the question around council related supplies?
With the potable water supplies, it's the wastewater and treatment plants that were installed in the 2000s. Mercury Bay, Pawanui and Whangamata create potable water. It has a high nitrogen content which can be stripped out, but other than that, it's perfectly simple to drink or easy to drink. And there's photographs in the Hauraki Herald of the engineers drinking glasses of water from the Mercury Bay treatment plant.
Yeah. So
and as you know, in Europe or EU, that you're required to dispose of your treated water above stream from the water intakes for most cities in Europe. So I'm just wondering why we're letting such an asset be wasted and just flushed out to sea or to irrigate golf courses or airfields, as in the case of Pawanui.
Yeah, and maybe Brett, are you online?
Yes.
Are you able to respond to that?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, okay. Thank you. Through the chair, we have not investigated the reuse of treated wastewater at this stage. It is not on our next 10 years plans to investigate. I think as time goes on and technologies improve, we would be looking at that. But typically those plants that you're talking about in Europe have had a huge investment to get the water improved to the point where it could be reused. There will be people who will not want to see treated water reused. We've seen that where irrigation goes on to certain fields, etc. People do not want to see treated water used there. They would rather fresher water being used. So there's quite a, how can I call it, consultative process to go through before we could even advance that those thoughts into something tangible as a project.
And maybe just to add to that, certainly there is clear requirements for drinking water standards, and there is very clear requirements on our new wastewater standard requirements. The planned investment from TCDC is 100% compliant with that regulation.
Any further questions from around the table? Well, we thank you very, oh, what's the time, please? If it was in time? Thank you very much. You're right. You've been very good on your timing. And I understand there's another one tomorrow with the council. Is that correct? Another briefing session? No?
Sorry, in regard to local water done well.
Yeah. We were
So
told-
we do have a session on the 27th of March with council, a workshop as well. And we're also meeting up with other community groups next week.
Right.
Yeah, through the chair, we're meeting with Tairua Tuesday, Coromandel Colville Wednesday, and Whitianga Thursday, I think it is.
Excellent, excellent. So you'll come back to the community board specifically at some stage and asking for our opinion, or is this it?
So this will be used to feed into the consultation decision for council. Obviously, through the consultation period, we're going to be running drop-in sessions at each of the main centres, and we would invite community boards to come along to those community drop-in sessions, and we can have a discussion at that point in time through consultation, and we can gather any feedback then.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
We're happy also to share a copy of the presentation, and then if there's any other comments, we're happy to take that into consideration as well.
Oh, well, we've got a hand up here.
Kia ora, Ian. We've already
Governance officer
distributed
wants
the
to speak to you about your
presentation.
flag in the background.
We've already distributed the presentation to the community board members before today, so they have a copy of it.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah, so if there's any other questions, please let us know.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Brent. Martin, you should tell me. The Thames Community Board receives the local waters done well verbal update dated the 7th of March 2025. Do we have a mover, please? Moved by Martin Rodley. What? I just was your middle finger. Okay, seconded by the Deputy Chair. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, declared carried. We're going, is that Capex? One here. Right of Renewal, BP Oil New Zealand Limited, Thames Airfield. Oh. Welcome, Nicole.
I'll just take the report as being read. It's pretty straightforward renewal of lease.
It's one of those ones we don't really have any choice, so onwards and upwards. Airfield. Week. I know. Yeah. All right. So, is there any questions of Nicole, please? She's come down here to speak to us. Have you got a hand up, Peter? Or is that a carryover from yesterday?
I've got a hand up.
Councillor Revel would like to ask you a question.
And Nicole, am I right that in the report there is no financials about this lease?
No financial impacts. Is that what you mean?
So we're renewing a lease, but as I read it, the report is silent on whether there's a lease renewal at this time, whether we are, so I'm curious.
It's only a renewal, but not a rent review, if that makes it clearer. So it's only a
Okay.
renewal of the lease.
Okay. Good. So, can I ask, firstly, how much are they paying for this lease, for the use of the,
It may not be something we could have in an open meeting, because if you have a look a little bit further through, there's another lease which has a financial number
Yep.
to it. But you
Yeah.
could say, is it between 2 and 3? So the question then, to take Peter's question on further, how often is there a rent review on this one, please?
I'll have to look that up. I don't have it down here, sorry. But I can easily look that up when I get back to my desk and advise.
So obviously, if we're going to renew the lease now,
Right.
in a minute when we put the motion, the rent review will be advised of that when it's due, won't we?
Oh, yes.
A couple of
yes,
months
it'll be
beforehand.
advised, Yes.
Excellent. That'll put Peter's mind at rest. Okay. Somebody care to move the motion that the Thames Community Board received the right of renewal of the BP Oil New Zealand Limited Thames Airfield report dated 25th of February 2025, and recommend that council approves the right of renewal of 3 years from 1 April, bad day, April Fool, to 2025 to March 31st of March 2028 to BP Oil New Zealand for the lease of the part premises being the Thames Airfield located at 395 Ngāti Maru Highway. Yes, moved by Board Member Rakwa. Do we have a seconder, please? Board Member McKenzie. So I propose to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, declared carried. Just a matter of interest to the board members, I may not realise that BP has just done a major upgrade out there. Huge upgrade. So I'd say it'd be one of the most compliant ones around on a small airfield, surely. A massive upgrade out there. All right. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for taking time out. And if you could just let us know if and when there's going to be a rent review, please, at some stage. Thank you very much. So 3.1 is Thames Community Board Capex Work Program 22-23 and other operational information updates. Welcome to Mr. Archbold. Once again to our hello chambers. And as per usual, we'll just quickly go through it because the board has had a really horrendous morning in some ways. Probably a little bit stressed out in terms of what we're doing. So if we just run down, if you don't mind, just running down through that, and anybody can ask questions we're going through. So if I got the right page, attachment A is the Kopu Marine Precinct. So anybody got any things about the Po Whenua going in or anything like that? No. We did have a question which we think was answered. We had an in-house one while we were waiting for our rest of our team to come back to us about WRC paying the 565,000, is it? That is down the last line, or the second last line, is agreed to funding drawdown in March 2025. Does that offset the money that we put in, the 565,000, or does it just?
It's in addition to, and it's funding the remainder of the works. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So Totra Valley upgrade, that's the one that's probably now will take precedence over anything else. Now that we've elevated the pool up to the council, this will be the focus for any board coming forward. This has been around longer than the pool. This has been around since 1977. And Peerless Homes are going to do a development up there. So, and this is something that I think that every board member around this table would like to see progress through. Can you please just give me a quick update on where we are with Lorenzo Canal, I believe is the
Yes,
project manager currently, and they're looking for a program manager, is that correct?
not
Is
quite.
it the other way around?
Yeah, so we previously had engaged Lorenzo and Urban Solutions to get us to that decision point. So he engaged and worked with consultants to get us to that point where we had a decision and clarity on scope. Now that we had that in December, we've engaged Urban Solutions and Lorenzo as the program manager, noting that that actually overarches multiple projects to get the development over the line. And so we're really leveraging the strengths that Lorenzo can bring to the benefit of council in that role. Urban Solutions also put forward a offer of service for the project management services as well. And that's been assessed against 2 other submissions. We are awarding that this week, and a contract is currently sitting with the successful company, and that needs to be completed before I can say anything explicitly, but you won't be upset.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So some of us sat here when the people who proposed the subdivision CBAS up there last week, wow.
Yeah.
So I think we're all anxious. I think we all agreed that we'll start moving forward on that one.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
the key was resourcing to get that momentum running again.
Yeah.
Getting the project management resource in place enables them to then start to drive the engagement for the design phase. So getting the right consultants involved for the investigation and design work.
Yeah, so that's fantastic. Anybody got any questions about Touch Valley Road? That's really good news. That's 2 good news items in one day. That's not bad. Thames South Water, has that been put on hold or have I got that wrong?
No, that's proceeding. So
Not coming off the LTP?
no, that wasn't put forward as an option.
Okay.
What was put forward was the staging of it. So while there is design underway, we don't need to spend as much that was loaded into next year. So next year is your design phase with hopefully some construction starting. But the big construction years are the year after that and the year after. So it is a multi-year project. And your spend is usually a bit of like an e-spend. So you've got lower spend, higher effort at the beginning, higher spend, just construction happening at the end kind of scenario.
So don't want to hold the thing, but we've just had Three Waters done well. And we're talking about how we move ahead with Three Waters done well. And this is the carryover from Three Waters, is it? So does it fit the picture? Does it fit the picture going forward or?
Correct.
Because, for example, if we went into council controlled organisations, say with Hauraki District Council, there was always a proposal to draw water from them back through the pipeline into Hikataya and have a joint thing like that, and therefore not having to put a treatment plant in. And I just thought, well, that would have been a better idea than putting a $19 million treatment plant in.
So the project team, as well as senior waters management, have been working really closely with Te Mata Arawai. We've received a letter from them confirming our approach is the appropriate approach for this particular situation. We also got confirmation through Becca, which I think we've stated there as an independent report to confirm we are on the right track to get the best outcome for our community.
That's excellent. Thank you. So then we go to Thornton's Bay Slip. Anybody got any concern about Thornton Bay Slip? Cope with public convenience? Surely that must be ready to sit on by now. No. When's that going to be lifted into place?
Through the chair, on-site works to begin in early April.
Mid-April.
Early April.
Oh, early April.
Yep.
Thank you. Port Park, Queen Street. Any questions about that? Oh, sorry, councillor Rodley. Thank goodness somebody's asked that question.
No need to apologise. Is there, I mean, we've had, earlier on, I think we had some indication from Waka Kotahi that they were okay with the idea. So is that approval being sought sort of more of a rubber stamp than a, hey, guys, we've got this great idea, what do you think?
Yeah, because it's broaching State Highway, we've got to get that formal approval from them. So while we've had those conversations, it's just getting that last piece over the line.
So we're not expecting any sudden,
No indication.
no, you can't do it.
No indication from the project manager that we've got any significant concerns on that.
Excellent, because I think as a community board, we had some, particularly I think Chair Catron had some concerns about people getting out of their cars and things.
I do.
So this is
I
good.
seriously do.
Excellent.
I think there's no risk assessment done on Porritt Park. I seriously think we're derelict in our duties to allow people to disembark from their cars and cross that piece of road. We've had one fatal accident there and a 14-year-old boy knocked off his bike, I think about this time last year in that vicinity. And I drive past and most people don't even park on the fog line. They've actually got a wheel over the fog line. So they're well out into the traffic lane and you've got a yellow line. I could save you $200,000 there straight off the bat by picking up the band room and taking it down to the North Tauroo School and create an arts centre down there. And I don't hold with this that they've got a lease in perpetuity. I can't believe that they have a lease in perpetuity. And if they do have a lease in perpetuity, it just means that the building will be in another place and they can still lease in perpetuity down there. But by picking it up and shifting it out, you'll take an eyesore off the site. You'll have clear parking out in the Queen Street car park, and none of this having to bring up traffic engineers to design it, and nothing to go with NZTA and nothing. All straightforward. Probably a traffic man saying just to get it off site and onto the road.
So could you bring that to the next meeting, please, Luke?
Yeah.
Through the chair, luckily
only a thought.
my team's delivering the project to the agreed scope. So that debate isn't mine to have for you. Yeah.
All right. Board Member Rakwa.
Thanks, Chair.
Good afternoon. Do you wish, we'll just hold ours and you want to do the introduction?
This is meetings and he's heard about the famous Chair Adrian Catron.
How? So
With your permission, Mr. Chair.
Not a problem. I'll stand and say welcome to the Thames Community Board meeting. And we've heard about how famous you are too, and there could be a possibility of some money coming towards us for our swimming pool in this area. Is that correct?
We are welcome to now, but he's just broken the impetus. But we could have the proposal, quite willing to look at it, but very much, Mr. Chair, thank you for the opportunity.
We'll put forward a proposal. I know about have a look at it. We'll put forward a proposal and you might be able to do something about it. But anyway, welcome to the Thames Community Board meeting. And you're most welcome to sit here with his worship. And we'll continue on with our Capex report where you see how short of money we are and what we could need. Oh, sorry, Board Member Rakwa.
Thanks, Chair. Just checking if it's okay to ask any update on Porritt Park changing place installment.
I missed that, sorry. Porritt Park.
Changing place installment.
A changing place.
Yeah.
Changing place at Porritt Park.
Any update on it?
It's not been built.
Through the chair, he means the changing places toilet, the facility.
Good question. I'm not sure it's actually on my report as a active project. So that would suggest that no activity at this point because it's not a funded and approved piece of work.
I think, Mr. Newbold, the problem is there's no money for it, so you probably won't see it here unless it appears on LTP at a later stage. It's highly unlikely to be happening under our watch,
Gotcha.
which finishes very shortly. So, Thames Sub-Regional Aquatic Facility. Yeah, that's the one. Are you listening, sir? That's the one that we could do with a little handout, if you know what I mean. Handout for us. Oh, hand up. Well, hand up, but I just take handouts. I grew up in the old age and got handouts. So we passed that on to the Thames Coromandel District Council. So we'll just take it and leave it at that and see what they do when they come back and report back to us and how they propose to be able to get us across affordability.
Yeah, and through the chair, I just want to express appreciation for recognising Kathy earlier on today. She has put a huge amount of effort into this to help get this over the line to this point.
So all the staff put a huge amount of effort into it. There's no doubt about it. Even our I was going to say manager, even our area manager. And you begin with A. Even our area manager is heavily involved in it, and it's been, to be fair, it's been a debilitating 3 years with that aquatic facility. It really has. It took away much of our drive initiative, because every time we came, there was always something else needed or whatever. But I've sat here 24 years of that thing. So I'm really, really pleased to see it go across the line. But if we had some central government help, coalition government help, that would be fabulous. Because just one quick thing, ACC pay around about $6,800 for every person who drowns for a funeral grant. If we could save people from drowning, then we could use, by using the pool and getting people in the pool and learning how to swim, then the ACC wouldn't have to pay that $6,800. And we have about 8 or 9 drownings on the peninsula a year. Keep going, Your Worship. So, Thames Information Centre, that's done.
Yep.
Parks, got one there.
Sorry, Chair.
Deputy
Critical
Chair.
structures. Critical structures. You skipped straight over it.
I did go across the top of that. Thames Critical Structures. That's obviously straightforward. I'm very pleased to see that you're going to Tauroo Cemetery and looking at doing the steps up there. I'm probably one of the few people around this table who've got relations buried in every single cemetery in Thames. I know it's a good thing, a bad thing, but they are there. We know where they are anyway. They're underground. Parks and open space. Oh, Thames Information Centre, we know about that. Parks and open spaces, reserve and renewals. It's always an interesting thing. Anybody got any comments on that one there? Oops. Sorry, in the trouble. We've got our drinking bottle at Porritt Park. Is it working?
Yeah, I was just about to, through the chair, just say that the drinking fountain at Rhodes Park has been well and truly used, and well and truly grateful. The kids and the parents are very grateful for it. So I'm glad that it's there. Only disadvantage is I wish it was there sooner for years prior, but no, it's been well and truly accepted. So thank you very much for that.
Brilliant. I'll make sure to pass it on to the Parks team. Yeah.
Well done, Board Member Mackenzie. Deputy Chair.
Through the chair, I think we got notification in the week that the mole ploughing had been done out in the field, correct? And
Scarifying, wasn't it? Scarifying, I think it is.
I thought there was mole ploughing scheduled for March.
That was done.
It was done.
Yeah.
Mole ploughing too, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was.
Yeah, it was done on. Well, unfortunately, it also they came whilst Ripper Rugby tournament was on, so there was hundreds of kids everywhere. So they started on the cricket soccer field first, and then I'm pretty sure once the kids have left, they started on the other field.
So can I ask, please, in terms of preparation for the season, is that the last piece of work that was scheduled? I think it was, wasn't it? And it's all been done, I think.
Yeah, through the chair, I can confirm that with the operational team as a maintenance exercise. It's a little bit out of my purview, but sure. I'll confirm and feed that back through.
Thank you.
Rose.
Yeah, and if there's anything again like that has come to mind as a result of doing the work that they think could be helpful, could they please let us know?
Yep.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's important because we feel that Rhodes Park will be there for at least another 20 years. It's not something that's going to disappear. So we want to see some money going back into Rhodes Park and some rehabilitation done of those fields. They told us that 3 and 4, if we didn't do anything with them, would be unplayable for the 25 season. We just don't want that. Thanks. I'm not just, that's for a pass on message, not something directed at you. Okay. The handrails, we accept that's been done. Thames Cemetery renewals. Oh, yep. Wyoming boat ramp must be completed by now or close to it. Okay, thank you very much for coming in. All right. Oh, you want a hand for double signature? No.
I have a question. We'll just.
Councillor Sinclair, yeah.
Thank you. No, as an actual question, it's a comment. I thought the Wyoming boat ramp comms were excellent. People seem to know exactly what it was that they needed to avoid, and it was done timely. And it was very pleasing to know that there was a project and it was started, it was finished, and now it's blue. Well, will be blue, the next version we get. So just thank you for that.
I was waiting for the question.
Are you aware that that makes me happy, Luke?
You're fine.
Very, thank you.
You're fine. Right. Recreational facilities, Thames War Memorial Civic Centre renewals. We probably need to look in that War Memorial Hall because some people want to use it coming up in April and they're told the chairs have been sold, but I'm not sure if that's the case or not. Okay. Thames Library Collection Development. Oh, that's techie stuff. Yep. Roading. Thames Footpath Rehabilitation. Oh, sorry.
Just through the chair, can you confirm, is that the person that's driving around the little electrical cart with on the footpath? Is that footpath inspection for the whole area?
I can't confirm, but I suspect you're on point with
okay.
that. Yeah.
All right. So they're taking video as well, I assume, and measurement. All right. Awesome. Thanks.
So there's a company from Woods in town with a van with all the equipment on the back end of it. Is that a contractor to Thames Community District Council for roads or we don't know what it was doing?
I'd need to confirm that with the roading team.
Right.
Yeah.
Seemed quite strange. They're out there on Sunday morning up Mount Sea Road and they're racing off down the road and it obviously had calibrations on either side on the back end, which is quite high and a massive camera on above their cab. So either that or they were spotting for bloody houses with unlocked doors. Thames Streetlight renewals or Thames Footpath Rehabilitation, comfortable with that. Thames Streetlight renewals. I don't see what happened to Grahamstown Heritage Lights in there. They seem to have dropped off. Is there any possibility to ensure that those heritage lights are reinstated at Grahamstown, please? Those seagull landing platforms are great. You can actually get 2 seagulls on it. It's a bit of a pinch to get 3. But it's not what Grahamstown wants. We want our heritage lights back in Grahamstown without sounding like I'm too parochial in that area. Because we spent, as a board, considerable $40,000 to have those installed there in the 1980s. Please.
Through the chair, I'll go away and chase it up for you.
Councillor Rodley.
Just looking at the Thames Footpath Rehabilitation. So this is for existing footpaths. So there's an area around that Mary Street, Holland Street intersection, and I've raised an RFS I had the feeling that came back saying that wasn't considered a priority, but on the area on Mary Street, on both sides of Mary Street where there's pavers, there's numerous examples of pavers that are lifting up simply because of the tree roots underneath them. And I kind of feel that it's got beyond the point of, oh, let's just, fix that particular paver up. There's also pavers that are surrounding where the trees are, and they have that kind of weird matting stuff. And then it has a layer of pavers. All the pavers there are all lifting up all around there. I mean, it's probably going to end up having to be a project in its own right. But yeah, I mean, and I know others have raised issues around that, but it kind of seems to me that I haven't got anywhere with an RFS. So if this is an appropriate place to raise that concern, to say, hey, it may not happen. Well, it's not going to happen this year, may not happen next year, but it's something that, I'm being asked about out and about.
Through the chair, I certainly can go to the voting team and advocate on your behalf and come back with a response for you.
Thank you.
All right, Thames Sports Partnership Project, which runs in conjunction with the Aquatic Centre. And I see the feasibility study will be completed once the aquatic business case will be reported to a community board, which begs the question, is the council going to take into account the needs for fields and when they're thinking about the pool, or will they, if they put the pool at Thames High School as it's been mooted, then that certainly won't be any help to the sports fields, will it? Project.
So
I don't know why they're running together on Thames Sports Partnership Project. I'm sure Rosny will tell me, but the feasibility study will be completed once the aquatic business case. Once the business case will be reported to the community board, which by implication means that the swimming pool and the sports field will be linked. But I don't think that's going to be the case. If we have the pool here in town and we're looking to going further afield for sports field, I don't know why. I think we should separate those two out and make sports field something on their own and aquatic centre something on their own and keep the two separate. Personally, I don't know what the rest of the board thinks. Councillor Rodley?
I had the feeling that it was around resources and needed to look at the aquatic vision project first. And it was kind of separated, and I see Rob, I'll let Rob, I think it was kind of separated because we wanted to get traction on the aquatic side of things first. Is that right?
Yeah, can I ask the area manager answers this question, because I think she would have the answer.
He's going to answer the question.
So you'll recall that we were running these two projects, the aquatic project and the sports partnership project, together for some time. And then they split. So they're now completely separate projects. And the focus was on the aquatic project to bring that to you in the business case report. And then now that that has been completed, the intention was to resurrect, I guess, or restart the feasibility study for the sports partnership project, which is partway through the process. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. Yep.
If I may ask a question.
Sorry, Councillor Rodley. Certainly.
Was there budget? There is still some budget for studies. Right.
I understand the budget's coming out of endowment farms. It says the work has been funded from Thames Urban General Purposes Reserve account. So, no. I mean, it's a good question. The thing is, now that we've pushed the aquatic centre up to Thames Community District Council as such, excuse the terminology is not quite right, they might not agree to that, but now the aquatic centre has been recommended to go to Thames Community District Council, I believe we now should focus on what we're going to do with those areas, as we thought that Rhodes Park may end up to be a 20-year project. We may be out there 20 years. Even though they started saying the year 10, locate the land, develop the land, got it all set up and ready for playing on. It's still going to take another 10 years. So we kind of need some certainty around what are we doing. And I think that we should now focus on the fields, or are we anticipating we're going to stay at Rhodes Park, which forever? So somewhere we need to take ownership of that situation and just push it along. And I'm just wondering if Mr. Newbold was thinking that rather than keep them under one hat. Did I say Newbold? That's it. Archbold. Thanks, Rob. Across the side there. Sorry, sir. Newbold's an actor, isn't it? Whether we should separate the two out, please.
Absolutely. I think ultimately that's in a separate section at the moment, which is your information updates compared to the actual update for the aquatics. And I guess as an advocate for project management as a function, I see this sort of stuff as an initiative rather than a project, because it's not an approved thing that we're delivering yet. So just worth considering.
Right, thank you. Spatial plan. Installation of two. Oh, do you want to comment on that, Deputy? Installation of two.
Through the chair, as what? As who?
Oh, are they there? Are they done? Is it completed?
I can confirm from TPAT's point of view that both Interwoven was previously installed and that Miners Gates has now been installed. Miners Gates will be officially opened, if you like, on this coming Saturday, 2 p.m, attended by His Worship, hopefully Wati Naumani from Ngāti Maru and the artist himself. So yeah, and you're all welcome. Everybody's welcome, and I think that wraps up all the only other thing that I think TPAT has to do from here is a deed of gift for Miners Gates. They have supplied so far a deed of gift for Interwoven.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. I think your efforts were amazing in getting that Miners Gate up. Truly, it would never happen if you had not put your time and effort into it. Shoreline management plan, asset planning manager, right. Open meeting plan for 24th of March, right.
You should have all received an invitation to that.
Beg your pardon?
The community board as a whole should have received an invitation to the public meeting, notification of that. And then on Friday last week, Kishan and I were able to take time out to go to the briefing where Amon went through the presentation just so that there was, oh, you were there too, so that there were no surprises in terms of what's being presented. So I'm happy to chat to anybody who's going to be there or would not like surprises.
Deputy Chair.
Through the chair, as a board, are we expected to attend on the public meeting? I think the hope was certainly from Amon that we would, as a board.
If I may, in my humble opinion, I think this is going to be something that will be talked about, and there's a high chance that because it is in the public interested, but people are interested about it, knowing what was said at the public meeting and what the next steps are and being abreast of the project is going to be a really good thing in terms of being able to answer queries that come.
Excellent. Okay. Nothing else? Oh, except the summary report on the last page. If anybody wants to go through the summary report, project summary report, there's some regional product facility. I think we're pretty much up to date with that now, aren't we? Right. So, Councillor Rodley.
Yeah, just No, I'll take that offline.
Right, somebody care to move? Thames Community Board received the Thames Community Board Capex Work Program 2024-25 and other information updates report dated 7th of March 2025. Do we have a mover, please? Board Member Rakwa, do we have a seconder? Councillor Sinclair, is there any comment? No, there being none, I propose to put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Those against, they're carried. Thank you, Luke. Fantastic.
Thanks, everyone.
You're very good at your tasks that you have with us. I know it must be a bit of a nuisance sometimes. Bye-bye. What, not those guys again? Right. If you're thinking, oh. Jenna Litchfield. Right. 3.2, action schedule. Anybody got any comments on the action schedule? We did have one earlier during lunch. I might ask the area manager to comment on the graffiti.
In regard to the action on graffiti removal,
Yeah.
there are two different types of graffiti. So one is graffiti on private property and the other is graffiti on council property. So the narrative there just explains what happens in each situation. So for the graffiti on council property, the activity managers for parks, facilities and property are open to the idea of a volunteer removing graffiti from our assets. And as said there, it says which will be discussed with Mr. Sanford, but we're not sure, we're not clear that whether or not that's what he wants. We think that he wants a less formal arrangement. So we'll just have a chat to him about that and go from there.
So is that, my understanding was that he was happy with the board suggesting things rather than general public
That's correct.
lobbing in graffiti things because it became more of a full-time occupation rather than something he's doing as a separately. Thank you for that.
Aye.
Sorry, Councillor, yeah.
Did we at some point make an offer to Mr. Sanford about maybe we could buy him some paint or some paintbrushes or something? Or was that? Oh, that was informally. I'll be quiet then.
Right, going down quickly down through that action schedule, Community Board Capex Work Program and other operational updates. We actually went through that in the other one. Community Board Financial Operating Results first quarter. Wow, I'm not going to comment on that. Community Partnerships update. My only concern again that there's the Thames Coromandel District Council that sponsors the driver's licenses according to the thing, and I'm just wondering, I'd like to see the words community board instead of Thames Coromandel District Council because that's the money that we contribute towards that, correct? So I think recognition where recognition is due, we should have, it should be Thames Community Board, please. So somebody care to move the Thames Community Board received the action schedule dated 27th of February 2025. All right, there we go. Councillor Rodley, Board Member Mackenzie, all in favour, please say aye. Those against, declared carried. Sorry, Peter. 3.3, I'll give you 5 minutes to read it. Am I getting a hammering from the side here about how late it is? Sorry, yawning there, Board Member Mackenzie, sorry. Right. Oh, one thing I've got to say thank you to the governance officer, to Jenna, because that was her meeting summary down the back. I think it's an excellent idea rather than a whole lot of random ones come in. She goes through, culls out the relevant ones and puts them in here. And I say thank you very much for that. And apparently our board chair, thanks to you, our board chair's report is held up as the example. And I've got requests from other board chairs to say, what are you doing in Thames that we're not doing? Blah, blah, blah. No. Oh, cramp. Right. Yeah, thank you. I just have to pick my mouth though, right. Tim, do we have somewhere to move that we received the chairperson report, 27th of February? We've got that. That's Councillor Sinclair. Do we have a seconder, please? Otherwise, you're out of the room. Councillor Board Member Rakwa. Right. All in favour, please. Aye. Those against, declared carried. Sorry, Peter. Right. So moved that the Thames Community Board exclude the public from the following parts of this meeting, namely, it's all there. And we'll just wait for our member of the public. Moved by Councillor Sinclair, seconded by Board Member McKenzie. He getting some runs on the board today, Board Member. All in favour, please say aye. Those against, declared carried.